Hi, everybody. Welcome to Third Space Live. I'm Jody Peel, the Executive Director of Third Space Life Charity. Welcome to our show. It's all about conversations, ideas, and stories to promote mental wellness and hope in our community. This is a pre-show, and at 8 o'clock, we will invite our guests, two women from Childhood Connections here in Kelowna, that will talk about early learning for preschoolers at home. So if you have a child who's a preschooler, make sure you stick around and find out what they have to say. They're going to give you some great ideas on how to play and challenge your kids at home. But before we start, I'll tell you a little bit about our charity. Third Space Life Charity is, you can learn all about our programs and services at thirdspacecanada.org. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter on our website to stay in touch with everything we're doing. And you can review recordings of this show both on most of them are on YouTube, on our channel Third Space Charity, and we're just building our IGTV library right now, so check that out too. Before I begin, I want to do a quick shout out to Third Space Coffee in Landmark District, Kelowna, who they have awesome food and great coffee, and they've just reopened safely today based on the criteria that the government has proposed. So that's a big deal, and congratulations to them on that. And they also support our charity. So be sure to check them out next time you're in Landmark District. Finally, my gratitude practice, something I do before every show. And I was just back-to-back running all day, and then I had a meeting at home and a friend drop off a chicken. Yeah, chicken. I'll get to that. So I didn't know what to do for my gratitude practice today, so it just came to me after work today. I decided to head outside and enjoy the beautiful weather, and when I usually do that, it's out in my chicken coop area, because I have now I have 25 chickens, and just sitting there in the warm sun and smelling the grass, and all the lilacs are blooming right now, which is amazing. The arrowroot are blooming everywhere in town, and just watching the chickens, so happy to be running around. It was just a beautiful opportunity to be thankful for nature and having access to nature right now, and some people are still stuck indoors during this pandemic in big cities. So I'm gonna just do a shout out to nature. Thank you. You made my afternoon really great. So that's my gratitude for today. Hopefully you can go out and enjoy some nature tomorrow. So those of you who are just joining us now, is it 8 o'clock? It's 8 o'clock. It's time to start our show. I'm Jody Peel. This is Third Space Live, a show that offers conversations, ideas, and stories about mental wellness and hope. Learn more about our programs and services on our website, thirdspacecanada.org. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can view some of our recorded shows on both YouTube and IGTV. Today is episode number 16, and it's May 19th, 2020. And I'll kick this episode off with asking you all if you have preschoolers in your life, or maybe you have a preschooler at home with you right now. I know from my memory at least that raising a preschooler is tough business, and I can't imagine that it's that easy. It's probably a heck of a lot harder during this pandemic. Tonight's guests, Nicole and Melissa, are from Childhood Connections. And just for those of you in the Kelowna community, the full name of this organization you might be familiar with if you're not familiar with Childhood Connections. Childhood Connections is Okanagan Family and Child Care Society. And that organization is amazing. They've been here for a long time doing great work in our community. And their mission is to facilitate quality childcare and provide a wide range of programs and services and resources that support families in our community. They not only find the right care environments for children, but they also provide supportive care and valuable training and resources to the child care providers, which is a very important part of what they do. You can learn all about them at childhoodconnections.ca. So I am going to welcome Nicole and Melissa in a minute. There's two guests. They're going to be sitting together when I introduce them tonight. That's the only way we could make the technology work. So I'm going to quickly introduce them both. Nicole Hudikoff, I think that's right, is the Community Program Consultant for Childhood Connections. She's been in the early childhood sector for over 20 years, including in the past roles as supportive care program assistant and behavior interventionist with Starbright. She was a strong start on call facilitator for School District 23, and she was early years and family coordinator with Childhood Connections. She has 2 young school-age boys, and she loves her job. She loves connecting parents and helping them find the right resources, and she loves helping childcare providers, that community, to do their best work with with various resources she can offer them to help the kids that they serve. Now, Melissa Hunt is the Executive Director of Childhood Connections. She's got her Master's of Education, and she's the mother of 2 school-age children as well. So both Nicole and Melissa bring that to our conversation tonight. And she's been the Executive Director for about 2.5 years, and she's had previous positions in the ED role with a literacy organization in Northern Alberta, and as a regional resource leader for a community learning network, as well as a school liaison coordinator at the Calgary Catholic Immigration Society. Wow, she's done a lot. So I'm going to invite them to join us now, and we will begin. There's Melissa, and she'll be here in a second. I see some friendly faces on there watching. Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. Oh, my head's cut off. There we go. You're trying. Oh, my goodness, Nicole, you look beautiful. You really painted yourself up.
I was, yeah, she's going to be on camera.
Wow, yeah. You look great too, Melissa. I wasn't ignoring you. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming and being available. And I know you're in the office trying to be safely distanced as possible from one another right now. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that you guys could probably take it from here, and that you're going to first introduce us to various, what your services are and resources. And then you're going to talk a little bit about following your child's lead, which I love. And I wish I'd known that back in the day. You're going to talk a bit about different stages of childhood development and specific activities to promote your child's development. And then you're going to talk a little bit at the end about the importance of the relationship you have with your child and just being with your child.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Sounds
okay.
Great. Yeah.
Okay. And you're just going to go back and forth, and I'm just going to watch and jump in if need be. So
Yeah. Sounds great, Jody. So you did a wonderful, lovely introduction to our organization. Thank you for that. So you were spot on. We provide childcare resource and referrals to parents. And so if a parent's needing childcare, they're new to the community, or they're just coming off mat leave and they're needing to find childcare, they'd come to our office. We would sit down with them and go through what type of childcare they're looking for, and then also help them to find some financial resources to make it more affordable for them. And also we do the ages and stages questionnaire. So we support families with checking in on their child's development at different stages, and supporting the childcare community with checking in on the children in their childcare programs to see how children are doing, because checking delays early and often will get them those supports they need, connecting them to people who are right. And then we have our family resource programs that are helping support families with Circle of Security training, which is a parenting course, and Nobody's Perfect training. And then our new Playful Healing free child therapy sessions that we're just launching this week. So we try to...
Are all 3 of those for the parents?
Yeah.
Okay. And we can learn all about that on your website more?
Yeah. The Playful Healing will be launched in the next week or so, but all the other programs and services are on our website. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Nicole is our Family Resource Program Coordinator, and so she connects with families in our community with the Ages and Stages questionnaire to check in on child development, and then just really educating parents on the understanding that they're their child's best teacher, and they know their child best, and take the lead of your child, which is really important. And developing that social emotional connection with your child is key. And especially right now during COVID, I think a lot of us have seen that. I think we've been forced to see the connection because we're at home so much with our children, which is a bit of a silver lining, we feel, with that we are at home more and we're more present with our children than ever before. And I think that's, you were saying your moment of gratitude. I think that's been a moment of gratitude in my life, that I've had to slow down with my children, because it's what we have to do right now. There's not much not much else to do right now. So it's good. Yeah. Yeah.
It just occurred to me I should have done my gratitude again, to remind everybody that childcare providers are frontline workers. And I did shout out the the childcare providers in a different show a couple weeks ago, but that's important because it doesn't pop into everybody's mind right away.
Yeah.
It's the same way as a nurse or a doctor or.
And this month, why we're excited to do this live episode with you was this month is May is Childcare Month. So it's a really important month to say thank you to your childcare providers. And I think more than ever now, we have this appreciation for what they do every day for us, as we're not able to take our children to childcare, and we still have to work from home, a lot of us, and care for our children at the same time. And we see how challenging it can be to manage both. So huge shout out to the childcare community. We support you and we see you, and just amazing. Yeah.
I've always had huge respect and love for childcare workers, because I wasn't one of those people that entered motherhood knowing what I was doing and having all these skills and having babysat and raised younger siblings or whatever. Like, I didn't know. And having someone that was really knew what to do, not just had good rapport, but actually knew developmentally what she was doing and trying to work with the kids on it. I was just in awe of her, and there's a lot to it. And it's, I don't think they get the love they deserve. So we'll give it to them now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on, Nicole. Sorry.
And you know what, Jody, like, as you said that too, like, children, they don't come with manuals. And so it is really hard to know. And that's with our ages and stages. And often when I go out and I talk to families about the ages and stages and childcare providers, they'll often say to me, like, oh, I'm good. I think my child's fine. Like, I don't see anything. And I say, like, I think it's so important that we're all doing them, because what it does is it just shows us what our children should be doing and gives us different ideas and activities. And I often tell the story, and my poor child is going to hate me when he's older because everyone knows the story. But so with my first, I Googled everything. I read every textbook. I knew, like, exactly what he should be doing, when he should be doing what activities. And then I had a second, and I was exhausted, and I was get out of the house sometimes. And I actually came into this job, and I came in as a parent, and one of the employees asked me if I wanted to do an ages and stages questionnaire. And so I did one, thinking, like, oh, I don't need to do this. And one of the questions on there was if my child could pull up his own pants. And he was around 2.5. We hadn't potty trained yet. And I thought, I've never let him even attempt to pull up his pants out of the house constantly, and I'm getting him dressed and running. And so it made me stop and breathe, and just, even as a parent, know I need to give that independence to my son, my younger one, to let him be able to do that. And so I often will let childcare providers and parents know it's nice just to be able to know those certain things when you're doing those ages and stages questionnaires. So,
oh my goodness, yes. Is normal, expected, but it didn't stop after after school. It carried on all the way through. And maybe it's still, what should they be doing, not being doing? And it's multiple times people have had to say to me, Jody, they're old enough to do this now. And you're like, oh.
yeah.
So yeah. I hope it ends by the time they're 25 or 30.
I hear. Yeah. And when Melissa and I this, so last week, how we were talking about, like, following our children's lead. Mm-hmm. So I was telling Melissa, so my older son, Gregor, he's, and then my younger one just turned 5, and he's going to kindergarten coming up. And so Gregor has been learning about caterpillars. So I had this great idea. I went onto Pinterest and I found the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And I decided that as a family, we were going to make a Very Hungry Caterpillar rock family painting all together to put in my garden. And I had this, like, vision that we would go on this amazing walk and rocks, and we would paint them together and talk about the gratefulness, and we would mix colors together to make green. And so anyway, what happened was we went for a walk. I ended up carrying the bag broke, I'm carrying all these rocks. We get home, we decide we're going to start painting, the paint isn't changing the colors, and then all of a sudden I look and I'm the only one painting these very hungry caterpillars. So I have this adorable caterpillar in my yard, but it wasn't done by my children, it was me, and I wasn't following the lead of my children. They wanted to just go roll down the grass, and I just kept painting my caterpillar, not listening. So yeah. So yeah, and very much what we say, and even do in childcare, is follow the children's lead.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the themes anymore. It's not about that. It's what are the children interested in, and that's the best way that they're going to learn. And so for parents at home, follow what your children are doing and be with them, engage with them. Yeah.
It's true. There's so many great ideas out there and so many disappointments, right?
Yeah.
But the people on Pinterest are doing it. How do they do it?
We've talked about that a lot in the recent months. Is there's some really great ideas out there, but I think if we pin ourselves onto Pinterest as being like, it has to look like this, and we give our children the freedom to explore and lead the way, then yeah, that's where we're going to fall short. Yeah. In helping explore the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so what would following your kids' lead look like then? It's just, tell us examples of that.
So for instance, when my children were not wanting to paint rocks, they wanted to roll down the hill. So if I would have had races with them to roll down the hill, or what we could have done is maybe it would have expanded that after they were done rolling down the hill, they would want to collect things to see how we could push them down the hill, and what's heavier, what's lighter. And there's so many things like in there too. And sometimes I find with children that go to preschool is we worry so much, are children going to be ready for school academically? And parents will say, like, but my child's just playing at preschool. And that's what they need to do. They need to play, because when they're playing, they're learning all the skills that they need to learn. So when they're sitting there playing, like, they're actually strengthening their hands, so they'll be able to write with fine motor. And they're mixing colors, right? So they're learning things. They're problem solving with their friends, because they have a huge chunk of Play-Doh and their friend has a tiny bit, and they're told that they need to share some. And how are they going to be able to figure out to share their big chunk with this friend, right? So there's so much that happens during playtime where children aren't needing to be doing worksheets to be able to be ready for school. Yeah.
I think that's so true, because there's so much pressure with the preschool parent community that even if it's not intentional, there's people talk, oh, my kid knows their numbers already, or my kid knows their letters already. And that's awesome. It's great, but it puts a lot of pressure on other parents. And I was shocked when I went to preschool. My kids were held back for a second year of preschool. They're going to kill me for that because they didn't meet the criteria, which was like taking your turn and standing in a line. And that's when it occurred to me, these things are big deals this is a big deal for them to learn how to do those simple things. It was lost on me until someone pointed it out.
Yeah, the kindergarten teachers that we connect with through the Central Canadian Public Schools, they really want us to help parents understand that it's the social emotional connections that the children need to be supported with through parents and through parent connection and activities. Because once those are met, once the social emotional benchmarks are met, then the teachers are able to welcome the children into the schools and teach, the curriculum that they have assigned in kindergarten. But without the children having the ability to know how to treat others, to know how to take a turn, to know proper social cues, then it's very difficult in a classroom setting with 18 children for the teacher to be able to administer a curriculum. Yeah.
So for parents that aren't, or viewers that aren't familiar with social emotional skills, can you expand on that a little and explain it a bit better?
So that would be like being able to take turns with other children, being able to keep your hands to yourself, So being able to like stand in a line and be able to hold your hands and not have to touch the person in front of you, like that's a really important one. Being able to calm down, right? And it's okay, like it is okay to have emotions, but to be able to verbalize what those emotions are and to be able to regain like self-composure for those children, as well as, sorry, Melissa, hold on, I'm just trying to take a look at any of my other notes.
The sense of belonging
Yeah.
piece is very important too.
Yeah.
We feel, Jody, like if they come from a different cultural background, it's really important for the children to have that sense of belonging and have that cultural piece and so that's a great opportunity for families to connect with grandparents and connect with their heritage and just the storytelling. I think storytelling is such a huge part of our culture, and it's such a great way to teach children and have them feel that sense of belonging, so that when they go to school, they know who they are. They know who this is from one of our community partners, Wendy Kenward. She's really instilled in me this idea of having children and parents know who walks before you and who walks behind you, so that Indigenous concept of the family, which I think is very important for the sense of belonging. And so it's something that we connect with our parents that come here is just, having the child feel safe and feeling belonged in their community is important, as well as Nicole said, expressing your feelings. That's so important. So instead of raging and screaming because they're frustrated, but understanding, hey, how am I feeling right now? I'm really mad that Nicole took my Play-Doh. I'm really mad that I didn't get to go first in line, instead of screaming, right? So
and then to be able to problem solve with the teacher, and because on the playground, when our preschoolers then go to school, when they go out to recess, there isn't a teacher there to be problem solving with those children all the time. But there is a teacher in the classroom that is teaching them the skills, the counting from 1 to 10 and the ABCs. But there isn't someone outside advocating for them on the monkey bars, right? If they're feeling left out, like they need to be able to socially, emotionally express their feelings.
And as parents, we are the main teachers of that. We're the main teachers of feelings. The way that we interact with our children is the way that they learn how to express their feelings. So it's so important for parents to connect with their mental and social emotional awareness piece, because it's going to reflect. We're like mirrors. It's going to reflect on to the children. And that's why we're huge advocates and supporters of mental wellness and mental well-being. And we have a few of our workshops that focus on that, and why we're huge supporters of Third Space Foundation and Connect Counseling and other great organizations that support mental wellness in our community, because we know that if we don't have a strong foundation of parents, the children are going to be adversely affected by that.
So if a parent was watching the show and then felt like, wow, maybe that's me, they could come in and talk to you, and you could hook them up with some resources that they'd find helpful.
Yeah. Right now, we're just finishing off our Circle of Security training in collaboration with Starbright. And we did that via Zoom. We started it out face-to-face before COVID, and then we moved to the Zoom platform. And Nicole can speak a bit about that training.
Yeah. So Circle of Security, it's so it's an 8-week course. And what it is it looks back on us being the hands for our children. And so no matter what emotion our children are having, that we are always there to pick them up. And also, like, this is just a small encompass of what Circle of Security is. So as well as is what bothers me sometimes, like I get really upset when I see injustice, like with my boys, like that is like, and I call it my shark music, like that to me, off my rocker. Where Melissa, that wouldn't be the same thing, but to be able to acknowledge what those things are, and the reason that bothers me is something that is internally inside of me. Something has happened, so some incident has triggered that for me, and to be able to acknowledge and work through that as well, right? So yeah, and it's an amazing course.
So it's eight weeks for parents?
Weeks for parents, yeah. And I'm not, like, right now how we're running it, is via Zoom. But or when we did run it, like we had it that the children, there was free childcare. So the parents were able to do this course and their children were looked after by childcare providers in the same location. And that was really lovely. And hopefully we can do that again one day, because that can be a big barrier. And it's an amazing course. So yeah, it's 8 consecutive that it takes place.
Yeah. And how many times a week?
Once a week for 2 hours.
Okay.
And it's encouraged both parents come together too, which is great. Yeah. So
that's important to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the way the family's made up, or if grandma's one of the caregivers or whoever,
caregivers, if 2 of the caregivers, the primary caregivers of the children can come, then everybody's on the same page, and it's more supportive that way.
And Jody,
important too for families that are blended families, or the families that aren't together anymore. I know that that's something that I've seen a lot of, is a lot of conflict around different parenting styles, and a course like that would maybe create a level playing field a little bit, or a little better understanding, shared understanding of the importance of certain ways of parenting, right? I mean, I'm a big proponent of parenting education, so I just see that as it's better to start young than to wait until there's problems later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the foundational principle of our family resource programming. Like, we know the importance of child development from 0 to 5 with brain development and social emotional development, and who is teaching the children that at that age? It's their primary caregivers. So if we aren't able to support the primary caregivers, parents, the grandparents, and the childcare providers too, that we do a lot of mental wellness, social emotional training for the childcare providers too. We actually do a circle of security training for them as well, because they're with a child from 8 to 5. Their emotions are going to show up in the classroom. They're not robots. They have lives back home. They have potential traumas that have happened in their life, and they could have triggers during the day. And so we want to make sure that they're supported as well. And part of that training goes to support them as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I know you guys, I don't want to kibosh your flow, but I'm curious about you guys talking about the one material package that you have available for parents if they want to pick up.
Yeah. So through COVID, like, we've done some circle times and different things, and like the community, like the Okanagan community is amazing. There's tons of resources, and we'll send them to you too, Jody, like if families are looking. And what we were saying, we wanted to be able to provide activities for families, and we're going to keep doing this, that they would be able to do an activity for a family right away. And so I'm going to just hold it up. So it comes like this in a little bag, and the family would just come and they would pick it up. So this month it was grass seed and soil and a cup and some stickers, and the families can make their own grass and then water it together and cut it. And then every month there's going to be a different activity, and there's always, all the supplies are in here, so you wouldn't have to go searching for the supplies.
So that's free to any family in Kelowna?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. And is there information inside about some of this social emotional stuff or the parenting stuff?
Yeah. So what we did is we put on our website, and then we also put like what the activity is, and then how to expand that activity as well. So how you can talk about it, how you can do some fine motor activities with that as well to expand the activity.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We've had quite a few parents come to between 10 and 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. They could give us a call, and we'll come out to that parking lot, just pop it into their trunk. So we've had quite a few parents do that. We have a great collaboration with the school district and the Strong Start facilitators. So they've come by and got big bundles of 20 or more so that they can go to their Strong Start spots around the community. And then the parents are coming to visit, and they're providing the activities to those parents too that they used to see every day and they're missing. So this is great to connect them as well.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's a really good thing that somebody who has it in their heart could sponsor.
Yes. Some of the funding we've got from United Way. So thank you, United Way. They're an awesome community.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nicole, what else did you want to cover today?
Sorry, I got off topic, Jody, as
I
I
made you off topic. It's my fault.
chatting. You know, so Jody, like a lot of it too, like as I talked about, like a lot of families, and I even know for myself, like my son's going to kindergarten come September, and I get on that panic train too of like, is he prepared? Is he ready? He's been pulled out of childcare, and now I'm the one that's doing this. And what I want to say to parents is, and for myself too, is we're doing everything at home. Like if you look at your daily life, you're actually doing a ton of activities with your children. So for instance, like my son sets the table in the morning. He picks the cereal and he puts it in the spot. So, you know, like he's doing personal social, you know, and as well as like when we are doing laundry at night, I dump all the socks because it drives me nuts to fold socks together. And we all sit there and we match the socks together. So as those activities are happening, your children are still learning. Like you don't need to be doing the worksheets. And when you play with your children and you are just with your children, that's what they need. And I had this really good quote, and it popped up like on my Instagram one day, and it's really like what I've been living by. And I really feel like, and I think I shared it with like everyone I know. And what it was from the Institute of Child Psychology, and it said, for your children, it said, share your calm, share your strength, and share your laughter with your children. No kids are ahead. No kids are behind. Your kids are exactly where they need to be. And I think that's what we need to know. It's not a rat race for our children. Mm-hmm. Like our children are where they are, and we need to be okay with that. And we need to follow our children's lead in that.
That's profound. And yeah, you could talk for an hour about that for sure. And that development isn't linear.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that we're so trained in so many parts of our life to think that way. And yeah, just because you can't pull your pants up doesn't mean you're behind.
I can pull his pants up now, and he does quite often. Yeah.
I hope so. Good. But then when he's a teenager, he might just leave them half pulled up.
Right? So there's that when it goes back and forth.
Yeah. And I think, Jody, like a really big thing Melissa and I both wanted to speak with is just the relationship between the child and the care provider, whoever that is being with that child, you know. And so Pinterest and all those great things have great ideas, but when you're sitting like this on your phone looking at the activity, you're missing your child. You're missing that moment. And it's that moment, those moments that need to be made.
You know, I had a beautiful experience a couple months ago. A colleague came over with her 2-year-old, and for her it was a great break. This must have been longer than that because must have been last fall. Anyway, she was really excited to have a break and have some adult time and have a glass of wine and chat. And I was really excited to hang out with her 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And when you're not the mom and you're fresh, you know, and a little bit older and wiser and less worried about everything, I had the best time, and she just entertained me. She brought to my attention spider webs and colors and smells, and it was just this amazing little journey. And I was totally doing that. I was following her lead, and then I would ask her questions and she would have these funny answers. It was just, I'm like, I get it now. I didn't get it when I had little kids.
No.
You know, maybe that's what grandparents are for, but yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we get to be we're in the trenches a bit as parents, right? Because we don't have that manual. There's the fatigue of just raising children, the emotional fatigue, and you're just right in there and you don't have a break. And I think especially during this time of COVID-19, there's a lot of parents that aren't having those breaks and that would just really like that reprieve to go to somebody's house and say, okay, you go play with my kid for 2 minutes.
Come to my house.
Yeah. Let her fly. Give me a glass of wine.
Yeah.
But it's hard. And I think just celebrating parents and celebrating the hard work that they're doing, and you're not alone, and it is frustrating sometimes, and a lot of the time sometimes depending on the behavior and the development of your child and what you were used to as a child too. Like if your child is autistic and you never experienced any of that growing up, that it's very hard to relate to, and to understand how to support this child when it's really hard to relate to their behavior. So it's being patient with yourself and being patient with your child, and taking those steps back to sort of see the bigger picture, and slowing down, and being, just really being present, I think, is so important for children, and being just connected to them. Without connection, it's really hard to form that relationship and help them grow. I've used the analogy of, like, if you have an employer who you just love this employer, they're so good to you, you have this great, strong connection, they'll ask you to do anything, like, can you grab me that cup of coffee over there? Yeah, sure, here you go. But if you really have this disconnection with your employer, you just can't stand him, he's just rude and obstinate, and you're just like, oh, he asked you for a cup of coffee, it's just feel like, that's not in my job description, I'm way above the pay scale to give you a cup of coffee, that's for your secretary to do, right? You don't have that connection. And I think if parents are getting frustrated with their children, it might be a moment to step back and say, okay, like, how are we doing with our connection? Like, how much time have I provided with my child today? Like, have I just been there, or have I really been there? Like you said with your friend's daughter, like going around and looking for those butterflies, like, it's like that babysitter mentality, right? Like, kids love their babysitters because they're like right there with them looking at the butterflies, and that's because they have this really great connection. And I was doing cartwheels in the front lawn with my partner's girls yesterday, and did cartwheels through the sprinkler, and I love doing that stuff. And like,
Good for you.
51 years old, and I'm a sprinkler, like, and I think we just let ourselves act like children too, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever too old to have fun with them and play. I think we've as adults have lost that play, right?
That resonates with me. It's not just about teaching them all the time either, right?
Yeah. No.
Oh, sorry, you froze there for a second. I'm going to give it a second until you get back. There you go.
A big thing for circle of security is they say that, when parents or childcare providers will say, oh, that child's doing that for attention, that's attention seeking. If you switch the word attention to connection, like, that child's looking for a connection, like, it shifts it shifts how you look at it, right? That child wants a connection right now, right? They're not doing it because they're trying to be bad and get attention from the parent. They're trying to get that connection,
some sort of connection. And negative behavior usually gets connection really fast, right? So there,
I remember one of the tools that someone taught me as an example of how to feel that connection is to get down to their level, which is an easy one. But to get rid of, obviously we didn't have phones when my kids were little, but get rid of your phone, stop stirring the food, stop vacuuming, doing whatever, like, and just stop and get down to their level and just, like, pay attention to them. It's that simple. And they'll do the rest.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if most of us are multitasking all the time.
Yes. There's a really good podcast we'll share with you, Jody, by Vanessa Lapointe, and we brought her up in November to do the ABCs of children's mental wellness, and a big part of her presentation was just connection, like, be there with your children. The moment is all there is. This moment is all there is with your child. Be there with them. And one of the things that she said in this podcast was that we are human beings. We're supposed to be with each other, not human doings. We need to be. And yeah, you're right. Put down the vacuum, as hard as that is, because I mean, the house is a disaster. We're not leaving it anymore. We're always in the house. But yeah, be there.
I can't imagine how tough it would be to be a mom with a phone.
Oh, it's yeah. We did a really good presentation with Chris Walker was the moderator from CBC. He has an 8-year-old son, so he was interested in this topic about screen time. And we had UBCO did a really good research study in collaboration with our Childhood Connections and Project Literacy. And it was really interesting, the dialogue that came out of that, because there's such a a pull to go on your phone to check email, to connect with other parents. Just especially during self-isolation, it's hard. Or anytime, I felt like mat leave was self-isolation. Like you're just home all the time with your child, and you used to be able to go out. Like if you're not feeling good, okay, I'll go to yoga, or I'll go meet up for a coffee with a girlfriend. But when you have a child in tow, there's so many check boxes you have to do to make sure you can go out successfully. So it was the screen time piece it's part of our world, and it's about managing it. But it's hard to do when you're alone, right, at home. There's not another adult to connect with.
Yeah, especially if you are raising your child or your children alone. There's no breaks. Yeah. So what would you like to leave us with tonight?
So there's this amazing book, and we'll leave this too. And this was, we actually helped collaborate on this with the school district. And it's called I Am Ready, Kindergarten, Here I Come. And Melissa's going to read. And this is the one quote that.
Jody, the coyote on the front is representative of the Okanagan. So an artist from the west side of the Okanagan Lake that designed it. And coyote is representative throughout the whole document. And you can find this document on the school district's website under the early learning page. And the whole document is focused on the social emotional development of children, like helping them bring about the sense of belonging, discover their feelings and be able to talk about them, talking about expressing and understanding emotions as well. So it's trying to encourage parents that don't worry about the other stuff. Don't worry about ABCs and tying shoes and counting. My son, he's 10 and can't tie his shoes. Don't tell him I said that. But it'll come. But we really need to focus on the social emotional development of the children. So I'll read you this.
Sounds like a document that every parent must read.
It's beautiful, and read it with your children, and kind of speaks to the children and explains, how he'll help you and your parents get ready for kindergarten. It's a beautiful book. It says, Coyote relied on the love and safety of his family to guide him through life in a good way. The most important thing in my life is you, because I thrive when I feel safe and cared for. You are my guide to understanding the world around me, and you being the parents. Yeah. So
beautiful. I'm going to have to read it and cry.
Yeah.
So maybe we can share a lot of resources in the comments section as well, with the posting to IGTV. Anything else you want? And some of the viewers, if they have some cool stuff they'd like to share, throw it in the comment section after we post this. And then, we'll see where it takes us.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jody.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Opportunity.
I'm so happy you guys were able to make it, and thank you so much. What you're doing is such critically important service for our community that I believe deeply in. So thank you on behalf of all of us for what you do.
Thanks,
you, Jody.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Take care. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Bye.